A company can follow every rule perfectly, reward every employee for doing exactly what they were told, and still walk itself directly into total collapse. There is no villain in this story, no secret meeting where executives decided to destroy their own organization on purpose. Instead, there is something far more unsettling hiding beneath the surface of nearly every major institutional failure in modern history. A single number, treated as sacred, that nobody in the entire organization thought to question until it was far too late. Inside almost every large organization, there exists a moment when leadership chooses one metric to represent success, because the real goal is too complex or too slow to measure directly. A bank cannot easily measure long-term financial stability, so it measures loans issued this quarter instead. A hospital cannot easily measure patient well-being over decades, so it measures average time spent per appointment instead. The substitution feels harmless at first, almost like a helpful shortcut for an organization too large to track everything that actually matters. This is where behavioral economists identify something called goal substitution, a psychological pattern where the proxy metric slowly replaces the original objective in everyone's mind. Employees stop asking whether their work serves the company's true mission and start asking only whether their work moves the specific number leadership is watching. Over months and years, the metric becomes the entire reality for thousands of people inside the organization, even when it quietly diverges from what actually keeps the business alive. Nobody decided to abandon the real goal. The real goal simply became invisible. Consider the visual of a ship's crew trained obsessively to watch a single dial on the control panel, ignoring every other instrument around them. The dial might show engine temperature perfectly while the ship slowly drifts off course toward rocks nobody on board is watching for. Each crew member feels confident and competent because they are succeeding completely at the one job they were trained and rewarded to do. The ship sinks not from incompetence, but from a system that made everyone brilliant at watching the wrong instrument. This pattern played out with devastating precision inside Wells Fargo, where employees were given aggressive cross-selling targets requiring multiple accounts opened per customer. Branch managers needed employees to hit 8 separate financial products sold to each individual customer, an arbitrary number chosen mostly because it sounded ambitious to investors. Employees facing termination for missing quotas began opening millions of unauthorized accounts in customers' names without their knowledge or consent. The metric had become more real to employees than the actual relationship with the customer it was originally designed to protect. Here is where economic theory intersects directly with human psychology, because principal-agent theory predicts exactly this outcome whenever incentives misalign. The principal, meaning leadership, wants long-term customer trust and sustainable growth across the entire organization over many years. The agent, meaning the employee, wants to keep their job and earn their bonus by hitting the specific number being measured this month. When the agent's immediate incentive diverges from the principal's actual goal, rational individual behavior creates irrational collective outcomes. What makes this trap so dangerous is that everyone involved can be acting completely rationally according to the rules they were explicitly given. The employee opening fraudulent accounts was not a bad person. They were a person responding logically to the exact incentive structure their employer created. This is the unsettling psychological truth behind institutional collapse. Catastrophic outcomes rarely require villains, only thousands of reasonable people following a slightly wrong incentive. The system was not broken. The system was working exactly as it had been designed to work. This same pattern explains why hospitals chasing patient satisfaction scores sometimes overprescribe opioids to avoid negative reviews from uncomfortable patients. It explains why social media platforms chasing engagement metrics build algorithms that systematically promote outrage and division over truth and nuance. In every case, the proxy metric was easier to measure than the real goal, so the proxy metric quietly became the entire mission. The original purpose of the organization survived only in mission statements, while the daily reality was governed by a number. The deepest psychological insight here involves something researchers call moral distancing, where employees feel less responsible for harm caused indirectly through a system. Nobody at Wells Fargo woke up intending to harm customers. They simply needed to hit their numbers to keep their job that month. The harm became an abstract side effect of metric chasing, rather than a direct, felt choice, making it psychologically easy to ignore. Distance between action and consequence is precisely what allows good people to participate in genuinely harmful systems. The practical lesson for any organization, team, or individual is brutally simple. The metric you choose to measure will eventually become the actual goal people pursue. Before adopting any single number as a proxy for success, leaders must constantly ask what behavior this specific number will reward, regardless of original intention. The danger is never the metric itself, but the silence that follows once nobody questions whether the metric still represents what truly matters. Every organization should treat its key performance indicators as live experiments, not permanent truths handed down from leadership. Wells Fargo eventually paid over $3 billion in fines, but the real cost was something far harder to repay: institutional trust built over a century. The crew never saw the rocks because they were staring at a dial that told them everything was fine. The next time an organization celebrates hitting a number, the real question worth asking is simple and uncomfortable. What did we stop watching in order to watch this one number so closely?